Good morning, wives. Good morning. Listen, I'm trying to lock this thing in here. Good morning. All right. Go ahead and pin that on in. Good morning. Listen, y'all, I have been up since about 7 this morning. Trying to give the rain some time to calm down because I was trying to get to the QT, okay? I have been without my cappuccino for 10 days, all right? I made a decision to do a couple of days of fasting for Lent, and that was one of the things that I took, thinking in terms like, okay, I want to make sure that I don't have a problem, or, I'm not really, really addicted to this stuff like this. Like, I don't really need this stuff like this. I was wrong. I was wrong. Baby, I was doing so good, though. I was doing so good until Wednesday. It was like something that had choked me up. I was like, wait, what's going on? And like my body had just like then went a whole nother different way. And I was like, but I still got like 3 more days to go, Jesus. What's going on? I need you to help me. Whew. So I went and got me some cappuccino, and I'm feeling much better now. Thank you for asking. Much better now. Listen. Happy Self-Care Saturday, wives. Happy first day of April. Ooh, watch me. Ooh, watch me. Y'all know April's my favorite month. That's my birthday month. Y'all see I'm representing my purple for April. And of course, April's Coach C's favorite color as well. That's neither here or there. But welcome and happy Self-Care Saturday. Listen, my goal today is definitely not to hold you long, but I definitely want to drop some gems today and really, really hope that what I share with you on today will be helpful. Good morning. Hopefully what I share with you this morning will be helpful. Hopefully wives will take heed to this message and really, really, really thank you, girl. Thank you. It's the April for me. Okay. It's April for me. So hopefully the information I shared today will be very, very helpful. Good morning, ladies. Good morning. And hopefully it'll be helpful. Good morning, Miss Lady. Hey, you made it. Arise and shine. Come on, Jesus. Look, y'all not gonna let me be all focused. I'm gonna focus today, all right? I've got to focus. So if y'all have questions, put your questions in the question box. And I'm going to try to go through my little spiel, and then I'll come back at the end and try to answer some of the questions. So put your questions in as we go through this. Listen, today I want to speak to you from a wife consultant perspective and from a wife coach perspective. I want to speak to you from both because y'all know I am both a wife coach and a marriage consultant. So I want to speak to you from both ends, and I want to share with you one thing about the spiritual side of your marriage. All right. I want to share that with you, but I also just want to kind of like go into detail a little bit about why it's so important, excuse me, Why it's so important. Good morning. For wives to really grab a hold and get hold to why they need to really see about their marriage at the sign of it going left, at the sign of it going the wrong way. All right. And so I really kind of want to highlight this today. I've had a few sessions this week. I've had a lot of conversations this week in my through email and even through my DMs. And so this was something that kind of like, really stood out. And I want to kind of like address that today, hoping that wives will gravitate to this information, take heed to it, and really start doing something behind it. All right. One of the reasons this is so important is because a lot of times during your marital separation journey, so many wives are confused about their initial steps. So many wives are confused about their initial steps when a marriage goes sour and then the husband ends up leaving the home. Good morning. So many wives get confused about this, and so they're not sure exactly what they need to do. And I like this week, as far as like, inquiries about, buoyancy, coaching, I've had a lot of those this week. And some of the wives that I have spoken with have really been at a place where it's like, that's why I kept on hearing over and over again, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And so I hope that I can bring some type of, release to that today and kind of share with you a little bit on what are some of the first steps that you really should start taking when you get to this place or when these things start to happen. So I'm going to give you some basic steps on how to handle this and why it's so important for you to handle it this way accordingly. So first, let me, go ahead and do my little introduction for the ones who may not know me, for the ones who may come on. Hello and welcome, wives. My name is Coach T. And I am a Christian mental health wife coach. I help wives who are separated from their husbands for a season to identify her mental status, caused by her marital injury, and to process her marital grief by prioritizing her self-care. All right. So I kind of help you do both. As a consultant, I just kind of like want to highlight this part. When you reach out to me from a consultant point of view, I help you to, kind of answer some of those questions that you're struggling with. Like, for example, like those initial steps on what you need to be doing, how you need to go about this, what are your next steps, and how you should be moving going forward. Good morning. And so I use my curriculum, her Buoyancy Boost, as a wife developer tool to help wives do her personal inner work. Mostly the wives that I work with, a coach, are going through a marital injury that involves addiction, abandonment, or adultery, okay? Or some type of mental and emotional, issue. Many times wives are not even aware that they are going through a mental breakdown when they're dealing with a marital separation. You are. I'm here to tell you today, you are. And if you're not getting help on this, you need to get help on this. All right. As a consultant, my expertise falls under marriage separation. All right. As a consultant, a lot of times in the beginning of my coaching career, I want to say, I was coaching both husband and wife. And one of the main things I was doing was trying to eliminate that, that husband and wife from going, their own separate ways. I've been doing biblical marital counseling for over 15 plus years. And so I'm very, very familiar and acquainted with the marriage covenant and how it goes and how it works. All right. I've also married couples and counseled them as well. So when I notice that a marriage is going sour or a marital injury comes up, couples usually don't get help right away. This is the most saddest part of this. All right. I really want to take my time and kind of like really go through this a little bit, just to kind of like, explain why the whys in this. Usually when the marriage goes sour, couples do not they don't take it seriously. They don't get help right away, or they try to do things in their own way. They go based off of what they have seen or heard or learned from, family members, from church, from, what the world view may be. Oh, this is how a husband's supposed to treat a wife. Oh, this is how a wife's supposed to treat a husband. But nobody goes to the book itself to see what the marriage is all about. So when I was counseling couples, one of the things I used to always ask them is, you have to understand that I am a Christian. I'm a Christian marriage coach. And so because I'm a Christian marriage coach, I'm going to give you Bible, because there is no other else way to help you in your marriage. If you are a Christian and you have accepted Jesus Christ as your personal savior and you are a Christian, There's no other way for me to help you unless I take you to the Bible and we go by what the Bible says. All right. And so a lot of times when couples will, reach out, they want to have a session and they want to talk about, all the things that the husband did wrong, all the things that the wife did wrong. And I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that, because that's not what's going to help you. What's going to help you is if you understand the truth. All right. That is what's going to help you. One of the reasons why when I first started doing my coaching business, why I went so hard with my premarital couples is because I wanted couples to understand the seriousness behind the marriage covenant before you say I do. Because I had been running into so many couples who are having such a hard time with their marriage and with their, understanding their marriage, I wanted my premarital couples to really, really understand, like, this thing is serious. And before you say I do, you need to make sure that you go through an extensive premarital steps before you say I do. All right. And so couples don't normally get help right away. All right. It's not a normal way of handling things for them, regardless of the reasons, whether it be they are not part of a church home, whether it be that, the pastor is unavailable or he's unknowledgeable about their situation, about their type of situation in their marriage, whether it be they speaking to people on the outside who knows absolutely nothing about marriage, or they get advice based off of their own experiences, or the wife finally gets, the husband to go to counseling and they do a few sessions and they stop, or the husband withdraws altogether from it because he doesn't like, what the counselor is saying. It's always a reason, okay? And I just want to just put that part out there. It's going to always be something that is going to prevent you from either going or not going, from doing it or from not doing it. It's going to always be something. You have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. And what you have to really, really understand is all these examples are perfect scenarios on how a small marital problem, because most of the time these issues be small in the beginning, okay? How a small marital problem turns into a huge marital problem. Until it gets so bad, until both husband and wife are too exhausted to do anything about their marriage. Now, because you have allowed time to pass, now because you have said, well, it ain't that bad, or well, this person's marriage over here is worse, or, somebody had told me, to read this book, or somebody had told me, I should just probably do these things. Because you didn't get the proper necessity counsel for your marriage situation, now you have let it sit there, and now it has gotten worse than it was before. It's almost like having a plumber, type of issue or whatever. If you have a plumber issue, it may seem like something, small at first, but if you don't get that stuff checking out, it will eventually get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's the same thing that happens in marriages so many times. A lot of times when you see the first sign of danger, instead of saying we need to go get some help or we need to go about doing this right, doing this the right way, you don't do that. Now, I would also like to add to that and say, a lot of times when people come into the marriage covenant, they don't come into the marriage covenant the right way. They come into the marriage covenant with, oh, you done seen all the red signs, all the red flags. You done seen all the signs. You already know, like, this man ain't, ain't right, or, or vice versa. He might know something ain't right with you either. Or, you come in the marriage covenant already on salty ground. Like, it ain't even right from the giddy up. But you still proceed forward thinking in terms, oh, okay, well, it'll get better over time. Or, I've seen this kind of stuff happen before. Or, I had a auntie who was in the same situation and eventually, things got better. So sometimes those situations happen as well. Listen, don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. It's just not good. Eventually the enemy comes in like a flood. Once he knows that couples are exhausted, and the two spirits that you have to understand and recognize is called Asmodeus and Osmodeus. Asmodeus and Osmodeus. These are two of the marital destroying spirits. And what these spirits are there for, they're there, they just don't stand by. It's not something that you will really, really pay attention to. It's not something that's really like noticeable, but these spirits are there to cause friction between the husband and wife. These spirits are there to cause the arguments. These spirits are there to cause the, the family drama. These spirits are there to cause, things going on in the household with the kids. These spirits are there to cause, financial issues. These spirits are there to cause, oh, now a person at work is looking at my husband type of way. These are what these spirits are there for. They're there causing friction to get the husband and wife to work against each other. These spirits show up on your wedding day. They show up on your wedding day. They follow you on your honeymoon. They follow you back to your home. They follow you until, that wonderful bliss, because they're looking for a entry to come in and find a door opener where they can get in and start confusion between the husband and wife. This is what these two spirits are doing. It is so important that husbands and wives understand the spiritual side of the marriage. Those two spirits meet you at the front door, all right? And their goal is to, bring you against each other. So once the enemy knows that you are fully exhausted, eventually what he does, he come in like a flood and he wants to then demolish the covenant. His plan is to demolish the covenant. His plan is to pull that husband and wife apart from each other. And this is why it's so important, why husband and wife have to be on a certain page to really, really keep that marriage going. This is why it's so important for a husband and wife to really, really try to make sure, like, we both want this. We are both on the same page. We both want this. A lot of times, once again, we do not go into the marriage covenant like this. A lot of times, people do not go into the marriage covenant in a healthy way. And so I don't understand why, because I was the same way. I don't understand why all of a sudden you're surprised when stuff starts to go left, especially when you have went in the wrong way. I don't understand why you are now confused about, I don't know what happened when things have already been showing itself, when red flags have already been showing itself. There's no sense to be confused. It's no sense to be confused. This is what it is. This is what happened. Now you have to make a decision on what to do next. Okay. If you are, before I say that, so then the person who desires to save the marriage, is left to handle the matter all to themselves. They're left to handle this matter all to itself, or it just comes to a complete end. Because now the person who's there, trying to save the marriage, while the other person's like, I'm done, I'm over it, they are now double exhausted. They are now tired. They are like, well, this ain't fair. Or, this, I shouldn't be doing this by myself. Or if he don't want it, then I shouldn't have to be doing this on my own. Don't do that, y'all. Don't do that, all right? If you are at this place in your marriage, there is still hope. If you are at this place, let's say for instance, your husband have not completely left the home yet, or you and your husband have been bickering with each other, but he's still in the household. Your husband has, saying, oh, I don't want no help. I'm done with this marriage, or, I'm just throwing my hands up on this. I don't want this no more. There is still hope. Do not allow those things to stop you from working on your marriage, or for, your marriage getting better. It is not recommended or encouraged to wait until the marriage is at complete, completely, destroyed before you make a decision to get help. Do not wait until now he has left the home. Now me and him are no longer talking and communicating. Now, he is staying at his mom's house, or now, his friends have got into his head, or now people on the outside is influencing him. Don't wait till it get to that place. If your husband is still in the home, there is still hope. Even if he has said, I don't want to do this no more. All right. I don't want to do this no more. I'm done, whatever. There's still hope. Many times when couples are going through a difficult time, they feel like both husband and wife in the marriage has to be involved in order for the marriage to get fixed. And that's not the case. And this is why so many times marriages come to an end, because either the husband or the wife feels like, well, if he's not helping me, or we're not on this, we're in this together, then, it's not going to work anyways. You have to understand, when that person mind get all discombobulated like that, you have to understand something has taken place spiritually. So it's a disconnect that has taken place. If a person that once who loved you and y'all was lovey-dovey and y'all done had kids together, y'all on vacation together, y'all done been doing life together, and then all of a sudden he wake up one day, or all of a sudden something changes, or all of a sudden he, I don't want to do this anymore. Something has happened. Something has happened in the spirit realm. And wives, you have to understand this from the giddy up. Don't just think your husband just came to you one day and said, I don't love you no more. I don't really want to go forward with this marriage thing. That ain't just happened like that. Like something has taken place in the spirit realm that you was not aware of. Going back to those two spirits that I mentioned earlier, Asmodeus and Osmodeus have somehow now affected the way that this man has started to see things. Now some type of deception has taken place. Now something in his eyes has been paying attention to something else on the outside. Now some type of, and I know y'all don't like this word, witchcraft activity has taken place, and now this man has went left. Okay, witchcraft does not always necessarily involve another woman. Witchcraft can involve a person dealing with a religious situation. Witchcraft can involve a person, on a job. It doesn't have to necessarily be just a woman. Witchcraft involves people that's dealing with, drugs and alcohol. People have to understand that witchcraft is real, and it is one of the tactics that the enemy uses to break and destroy a marriage. And this is why you have to be aware of the spiritual side of it, okay? Something has taken place with your husband. He now has become deceived. He has now allowed the enemy to take hold of his mind, and there is nothing, no matter what you say, how you say it, how you try to convince him to change his mind about the marriage. Sometimes I get wives who's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. Like, I don't even know what happened to him. He just not making no sense. Or, I had one wife tell me, I seen his face look a certain type of way, when I was talking to him. Like, he didn't even look like my husband. You have to understand something has taken place on the back end that you probably just going by day to day doing life and have not been paying attention to. Something has taken place. And a lot of times when people come into the marriage covenant, they're not aware of these things, because these are not type of things that they are talked about in the church necessarily. These are not things necessarily that, when you do premarital counseling, even for the ones who do premarital counseling, they even talk about. That's why when I offer premarital counseling, no, we're not just going to just do no basic, like what the book say. No, I'm going to give you the whole ordeal of this, because you have to understand there's a spiritual side that's working against you. There's a evil side in the spirit realm that's working against your marriage, and that is how marriages are coming to an end. All right. So, okay. So yes, it does not take both of you to be there to fix the marriage. At the first sign of your marriage going left, it is strongly encouraged to get help. The couples, like I mentioned, the couples that I marry after their premarital sessions, I encourage them to do marriage check-ins. This is something that I always encourage my couples, even the ones that I have married, to do marriage check-ins. I encourage them to follow up every 3 to 6 months, even if things are okay. Even if, we ain't have no problems, or, ain't nothing going on between us, or, everything seemed to be, working okay in our marriage, and there's nothing going on, you still need to check in. And the reason you need to check in is because sometimes there are blind spots that is occurring that you may be unaware of. Sometimes there are things taking place in the spirit realm that you may not be aware of. I can sit with a couple for less than 10-15 minutes and just listen to what they say, and I can immediately pick up that something that they don't even know that's taking place. I can listen to a couple explain to me what their situation got going on both sides. Good morning, and I can immediately pick up something is definitely wrong here. Something has definitely went left in the marriage. So this is why it's important for you to check in. If you are married and you are in a position where you can get that type of counsel, whether it be by a pastor or whoever, you need to make a decision. You need to make sure that's part of an investment that you need to be investing in your marriage. People think once I get married, I don't have to do nothing else. People think once I get married, like the investment that no investment is required. But in order for that marriage to go on long term, then you do have to make an investment. All right, you do have to make an investment. I'm gonna come back to your question, okay? So don't assume if your husband is unwilling to get help for the marriage, you can't get help on your own, wife. Don't wait for him to decide to get help. You be willing to get help on your own, and you be willing to do it first. The number one reason this happens or doesn't go as planned is because both spouses are pointing the finger at each other, repeating words like, but what about them? But what about them? But what about them? But what about them? Okay, if I change, then what about him? Okay, if I do this, then what about him? Okay, why I have to be the one who do this and he don't do anything else? Okay, is that fair for him to be acting this way and I have to keep being like this? But what about him? But what about him? But what about him? And what this gets you? Nowhere. You remain in that same place year after year after year after year after year, trying to convince the person that you're speaking with, But what about them? But what about them? But what about them? Because most of the time when couples do make a decision to go and get help and they're talking to a counselor or a therapist or, even a pastor, they're trying to get both sides of their story. They're trying to get both. They're trying to make that person understand his wrong and what he did, and he's trying to make you understand her wrong and what she did. But nobody is paying attention to what's taking place in the middle. And what's taking place in the middle is that spirit, Osmodos and Osmodos have pushed you to this place, and now y'all are friction between each other. Y'all are friction in between each other. All right. Okay. I'm gonna come back and read y'all comments in just a minute. So you stay in the same place year after year after year. You don't get anywhere. You stay in that same place. And what you have to understand about marriage is that it is part of life. It is part of your life. And when it does is, it is part of life that grows you up. A lot of times people come into the marriage covenant just thinking, oh, we're going to just be, making love all day long. We're going to be on vacation. We're going to be going to dinner. We're going to be doing some FaceTime, some FaceTiming each other. We're going to go on dates. We're going to get us a nice, house and, have some kids, and we're going to raise our kids, and we're going to live happy ever after. Wrong, 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 and wrong again. All right. Marriage is used to grow you up. Marriage is used to mature you. Okay. It is not meant only for the good stuff. Okay. But it challenges you as well. Marriage helps you to be a better person. It helps you to look more like Jesus. And a lot of times people are missing that point at the giddy up. People are missing that point at the beginning. All right. The reason I don't counsel couples anymore that I do not marry, all right, that I do not marry or have not worked with their wives for an extensive period of time. The reason why I don't counsel those type of couples anymore is because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. If you want to talk about this kind of stuff over and over again, you need to be seeing a counselor. You need to be going to a third. That's what they get paid for. They get paid to listen to that kind of foolery. Because if you don't understand what's taking place from the spiritual side of this, you're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole picture. If you are looking for someone to just give you the little bubbly answers and just kind of fix it all up and make it all comfy and stuff, then you need to go to a counselor. You are not ready for this type of wisdom. You're not ready for this type of knowledge, because this goes way beyond what just the natural way of things. It goes way beyond that. This even go beyond just what the Bible says, because this is more of a divine type of thing that you have kicked into when it gets to this point. All right, when it gets to this kind of point, there are some marriages where it's not as bad. It's just probably a little miscommunication issue. Maybe they misusing the money some type of way or what have you, and it may not have gotten to this point. But once it gets to this point, where that man is like, I'm done, I'm through it, I'm finna head out this house, or when y'all done shut down on each other, no, you don't pass that just bubbly stuff. All right, you don't pass that part. And so I don't waste my time no more counseling couples with that, because it's a waste of time. I counseled one couple before for over a year. Counseling for a whole year. I mean, I walked them through the steps. I did the whole 9 with them. This before I really start, speaking about the spiritual side of things. I didn't really, because you have to be mindful of how you talk about that with certain ones if they're not aware of it, or they don't know how to really receive it. Walked with them for a whole year. For a whole year. I mean, I was going to their house and everything. That couple still got divorced. I'm like, I just thought that was a whole waste of time. I put all that in there, and it was a whole waste of time. But one of the things I did recognize and notice was they had not tapped into that spiritual side. And trying to do that little surface type of counseling, that stuff don't work. It's not going to work. You need more than counseling on the surface when you're dealing with a spiritual matter. Okay, you need more than just that surface type of stuff. All right. Because they didn't understand marriage was bigger, and they didn't understand that marriage was bigger than their day-to-day life. Marriage is the great sanctifier. I think that's in the words of Pastor Darius. Marriage is the great sanctifier. And what that means is marriage is used to grow you up. Marriage is used to make you holy. I share on my YouTube, community board, a video about CT Wines and her husband, and Ty Tribbett and his wife, Chantel. And I was asking wives, to give what their perspective was on what, some things they were showing, because I know for a fact, for sure, Ty and his wife Chantel were separated for a period of time. And they talk about, the restoration. They talk about, how they came back together. They talk about, the things they had to do as a couple to kind of like work on themselves first. And I think that was one of the things that Ty Tribbett said that stood out to me. He said it wasn't just my wife, because his thing was, oh my God, I get her back. Oh my God, I gotta get my wife back. Oh my God, I don't want to lose my marriage. Oh my God, I don't want to lose my wife. And he said every time he would go to God and say those kind of things, the Lord will always show him himself. And he couldn't understand, like, why you keep on showing me? I'm trying to get my wife back. I'm trying to get my marriage to come back together. But the Lord would keep on showing him. And the Lord was basically saying, you got to work on this part of you first before you can even deal with her. You're not even your whole authentic, healthy self. And you're trying to get your wife back. So you're trying to focus on getting your wife back and come back in contact and restoring your marriage. But I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you that you got stuff going on. And I think that was one of the things that stood out to me, because that's one of the things I'm always telling wives. This is not just about your husband. When marriage separation take place, that is time for you to pause and take a look at yourself. That's time for you to pause and say, all right, God, you allowed this to happen. You allowed it to come to this place. What is it that you're trying to show me about me? Because obviously it's not just about my marriage, and it's not. And if you have an opportunity to go back and look at that video, I would encourage you to do that. To what Ty Tribbett talked, he talked about that part. All right. So marriage is the great sanctifier. And if you don't go by the playbook, it will fail. If you do not go by the playbook, it will fail. However, if one goes by the playbook, let's just say if it's one person that says, okay, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to go after God. I'm going to, go after my marriage. I'm going to really seek God in prayer about what he wants me to do about my marriage. If there is just one, that goes by the book and the other one doesn't, you still have a chance. There is still hope. But that person has to first learn how to fight for themselves. That person has to first learn how to stand for themselves. That person has to first understand what it is about me that I need to work on. What it is that you're trying to show me that I need to do for me to get better, so I can do what I need to do for my marriage. All right. So if you are in this place, I want to encourage you to sign up for your consultation. All right. If you are in this place where your husband has either, told you he's getting ready to leave, or he has already left, I want to encourage you to sign up for your wife consultation. Don't wait until things go from bad to worse. All right. Like I said, I talked to so many couples who have done this. And if they would have started a session earlier, this is the other big thing. If they would have started a session earlier versus waiting until everything got worse, things could have gotten better. If they would have started earlier instead of waiting until it got worse, or kind of like, having an argument and bickering with each other and just kind of like leaving it in the atmosphere. Do you understand when you have an argument or a fight with your spouse, or you spitting out word curses and saying stuff, and nobody goes and grab those words, or nobody goes back and, repent, or nobody goes and, take those words out? Do you understand that what is happening at that point, or what's happening next at that point, is not the enemy is having a field day. He's having a field day because now he got access to this word curse, or I'm going to use this, or okay, I'm going to get this, or they had said this about that person mama, or they had said this about this person, his private part, or they said this, I'm going to use all these things to use against them. So he bunches up all those things that y'all done said to each other, and he put it to the side for a rainy day. And so when y'all thinking like, oh, okay, well, we done made up now, everything is back. Boom, now he started putting all these kind of stuff back out in the atmosphere again. Because nobody went out there and gathered that stuff out. Nobody went out there to get those word curses up. Nobody went out there to repent. Nobody went out there and said, God, please forgive me for, things that we said to each other. Nobody did that. Instead, you kind of like just left it out there. Y'all went to sleep mad, woke up mad, and y'all continue to do, life day by day and kept on going on life until one day, all that stuff adds up. And now, oh, my husband's leaving. You surprised? Oh, now we mad at each other. We're not talking to each other. You surprised? Y'all done threw all these stones at each other all throughout your marriage, year after year, month after month. And y'all been doing the same mundane year after year, month after month, thinking in turn that, oh, okay, we're going to just keep on doing the same things. And then, it's just going to work itself out. It's going to just fix itself on its own. That ain't going to work. that ain't going to work. All right. So you have to understand, if you get to someone sooner than later, that would be a whole lot much helpful for you. All right. Now, that's from a consultant, point of view, marriage consultant type of, point of view. From a wife coach perspective, now I want to switch gears a little bit. This is where sacrifice and investing in yourself really matters, okay? Because you have to understand, if you are making a decision to pursue your marriage and your husband has no longer, or your husband no longer desire to pursue the marriage, but you have to understand this is all falling on you now. This is all falling on you. And one of the things that I absolutely cannot stand to hear is wives say things like, well, it's just, it's just me and God now. And I'm just walking and trusting God now. It's like, okay. When I hear that, I am at a standstill as far as what I can do or what I can say. Oh, it's just, it's just me and God now. I'm just trusting God. But that ain't gonna be enough. You just out there in an ocean out there, and you just being still and thinking like, okay, God, you gonna say something, you gonna do something, and God like, I already done told you. I already put people on your path to tell you and how to go about with this. It's not just you and me out here. I place people on your path to help you because I know you're gonna need this type of help. All right. Many times, about time you get to this place, the husband has left the home now. The husband has made a decision to leave the home. And matters have gotten worse. Matters have gotten worse because the couple didn't get the necessary support they needed for their marriage, or they refused counseling, and now the marriage have went from bad to worse. Now the marriage is like absolutely at the worst. Like, so you think, because it could always get worse. All right. And so I'm going to say this in the most humblest way that I can, wife. When your marriage gets to this place and your husband has left the home, this is not the time to say, oh, I'm just walking with God and trusting him. I'm just walking with God and trusting God. No, this is not the time to start being all religious and being all Christ-like now. This ain't the time. Oh, now I'm not going to say Christ-like, because that ain't Christ-like behavior. Let me take that back. I'm sorry. That's being a religious type of person. Okay, that's being religious. Oh, I'm just gonna walk with God. I'm gonna just walk with God. I'm just trusting God on this journey, baby. You are not in this position just now because you and God. You now at this point need wisdom. You now at this point need understanding. You now at this point need knowledge and insight. You now need to see about yourself. Because if you now are making a decision, maybe it's because God told you to. Maybe it's because God has, asked you to stand still. Maybe it's because, God has said, don't divorce your husband, don't leave your husband. Whatever the reason it has come to for you not to divorce your husband, and you make a decision to stay in that marriage, this is not the time to say, oh, I'm just trusting God. I'm just trusting God. I'm just going to walk in with God and see what God going to say. God ain't going to say nothing else. I'm telling you that right now. God ain't going to say nothing else. Faith without works is dead. And a lot of times people are using a quote unquote religious sayings and thinking like that's going to be enough. That you're saying that for who? Because you're not saying it for me, because I know better. I know that you just sit here saying I'm trusting God and you're not doing anything else behind that, and it ain't going to be enough. I know that you can read the scriptures till the scriptures read back to you. I recognize and understand that you can fast, and you can turn into a whole skinny person. I recognize that you can do all those things over and over again, and that ain't going to do nothing for you. Because now it's not just about you trusting God. Now you got to be making some sacrifices. Now you got to be investing. Now you got to go a little deeper. Now you got to see now really what this Christ-like, kingdom-like type of behavior is all about. Now you got to press in a little bit harder. And so many wives are staying on the surface. Oh, I'm just trusting God. I'm just trusting God. You're not trusting God. You're not trusting God. Because if you're trusting God, you will say, by faith, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to see what God going to help me do next. If it ain't going to go through, then the Lord going to show me it ain't going to go through. But so many wives and so many times, they're not even taking that step forward because they're just quote unquote trusting God. That's not how you trust God. You trust God as you go, not as you stand still. You trust God as you move, not as you just being there in this one place. I'm going to just keep on going to church, and I'm going to just, keep on reading my Bible, and I'm going to just, keep going to my, my little small group, and, see if anything, jump up in there, whatever. Ain't no power in all that. Ain't no power in that. Your power and authority comes with saying, Lord, I don't know what you're doing, but by faith, I'm going to go forward. Lord, I don't know what you're doing. If you don't stop me from doing this, if you don't tell me to stop doing this, I'm going to go forward and do this. I'm going to go forward and do that. You need wisdom, wife. You need understanding. You need insight. You need to know the ins and outs of what to do next when you get to a point like this, okay? Because more than likely, things in your life are about to shift. I can tell you that right now. If your husband is no longer in his marital home, things in your life are getting ready to shift. And if you do not have accountability, and if you do not have nobody walking with you and to coach you through this, and if you do not have those things, I can guarantee you're going to push yourself backwards. I can guarantee you're going to fall back. I can guarantee you're going to throw in the towel and you're going to want to quit. I can guarantee you things are going to absolutely get worse. I can guarantee you these things are going to happen. Too many times I hear wives say, it's just me and God now. It's just me and God. But God is clearly showing them that they need some type of help. Otherwise, they wouldn't be looking at these type of videos. Otherwise, they would not be searching the web, searching Google, searching all these places. If it's just you and God, then you don't have no reason to be watching these type of videos. If it's just you and God, then you don't have no reason to pursue anything else. If it's just you and God, then it's just you and God. Why are you watching these type of videos? Why are you trying to get this kind of encouragement if it's just you and God? This is not just about, oh, it's just me and God. Stop using that as an excuse, wife. You cannot keep using that as an excuse and hope for things to change or hope for things to get better. It will not. If your husband has left the home, you need the proper counsel for this matter. Not any old kind of counseling. You need someone who has walked through this matter, who has went through this journey, who has walked through those same steps that you're going through, who understands this, who can help you. All right? The biggest reasons why wives don't do this is because most time I hear, well, the husband was the breadwinner. You know, the husband, he was the one making the money, which is another reason why you need to, develop your own independency and your own authentic and understand your own authentic self. Because if your husband was the breadwinner and you was completely dependent on him, whatever the reason may be, maybe it's because, you had, I was home with the kids, or, he made more money to me, or whatever your excuse is. I always say women need their own independency too. Doesn't mean that you're not submissive. That's a whole nother subject. I don't want to get too far off with that. But stop using that as an excuse as my husband was the breadwinner. If your husband's the breadwinner, then maybe the Lord now is trying to show you how to be the breadwinner. Maybe now the Lord is trying to show you how to stand up on your own 2 feet. Maybe you have been dependent on your husband for too long, and now he's trying to show you how to stand up and depend on him. Okay? So I hear women tell, I hear wives say, well, my husband's a breadwinner and he left us without any money, or they're simply saying, they can't afford this. And I understand all of that. Maybe God now is trying to push you in a deeper place, on a deeper level with him, for you to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. I had a client before, and this is one of the things this is her story. She didn't work that much. They had, I think, 3 children. And her husband was a breadwinner. He was, I think he was a nurse or something, in the medical field. And she actually did. She had a degree. She had went to school. She had, plenty of degrees, but she had not really worked those degrees. She had not really did it because she was home with the children. And what I always say to women like that is nothing wrong with being that type of person. There's nothing wrong with, raising your children and being home to children. There's nothing wrong with that. That is something I encourage if you can do it, but that does not excuse you from not being able to have your own. Okay, she was dependent on her husband, week after week to give her a certain allowance to take care of, the household and the kids or whatever, to give her money or whatever. And what her dilemma was, when she was getting frustrated, is because her husband was only giving her a limited amount of money. He was not understanding that, the household requires, more money than this. The household requires, you to, for you to give more than this. You're not giving me enough. And my thing to her was, why you're not trying to do anything on your own? Okay, why are you not trying to, do a little side business or have a little side job or have something? And it came to, well, I'm tired, I got the kids, and it's like, all I hear is excuses, because when you really, 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 really want something, then you would do it. Sometimes wives have gotten so comfortable with their husbands doing, and God is like, let me remove him out of the way. Let me get him off this path. Let me help you focus on me, and you be dependent on me, because now you are too dependent on your husband, and I need you to be dependent on me. I didn't call you to just be a mother. I didn't call you to just be his wife. I called you to be a businesswoman, or I called you to, help other children, or I called you to entrepreneurship. I called you to other things. Stop using that wife as an excuse. I had another wife who, such a situation was, she couldn't pay her tithes. And the reason she couldn't pay her tithes was, again, her husband was the breadwinner. Her husband was the one bringing in the money, and he didn't believe in that. And my thing with that was simply, you need your own money. You need to be bringing your own money. I don't care if you go work somewhere for 4 hours a day and get a 4 hours, a day type of pay. That is yours. You can say, I'm independent. I'm bringing this in on my own. I think Steve Harvey talked about that one time in his book about, the different accounts, how, people need to have their own independence, even if you are married. Too many wives I've talked to say the same thing over and over again. I don't have the money. I don't have the money. He left me without. I don't have the money. That is not an excuse, wife. That is so not an excuse anymore. All right, ma'am. The type of help you need, you cannot afford to be without help. The type of help you need, you cannot go without help. Okay, you cannot go. And you have to understand, if you are going to get a wife coach, which is the person who will be the best fit for you, the best person for you to have to counsel you when your husband has made a decision to leave the home, is not for you to go to a counselor. I can't tell you to go to a counselor, not whatever worked for you, what worked for you. But that person, if they have not walked through them same steps as you, they would not necessarily be that person to help you. The best person for a person to go to as far as getting the necessary help they need is a wife coach, which is a person who has experienced or walked through the same journey you have. All right. That's who you need to go to for your type of counseling. That's valuable information that wife coach is giving you. Let me say that again. That is valuable information that wife coach is giving you. And I'm speaking for myself. I went through too much hell to give up my valuable information for some coins. I'm not going to do that. I cried too much. I suffered too long. I went through too much for me to just say, oh, I'm going to just get this away for $100. The devil is a lie. That's not what this is about. That's not what it's about. This is, both of us are going to receive something from this. You're going to receive a return on investment. I'm going to receive a return on investment. This is an even exchange. Everybody are focusing on the coins. This is not about the coins. This is about what are you going to get? What are you going to profit from this? What are you going to profit after sitting and spending that time with that wife coach? What are you going to profit? If you are really, really trying to save that marriage, and you are really, really trying to do the necessary work and steps that is required, then you're going to put forth the energy that's needed. You're going to put forth the investment that is needed to do so. But I feel like a lot of times wives be playing. I feel like they saying it with their mouth, they won't help, but they don't really want help, because when they start hearing process, it's like, this is gonna be me and God. All right. all right. If you want to pay coins, then you need to go to someone who accepts coins. I don't coach, don't accept coins. Okay. A wife coach who has experience and going through the same process as you, and who can give you valuable insight, is worth paying for. Otherwise, keep going and getting that mediocre surface advice and bare minimum, and then repeating that same cycle over and over and over and over again, because that's what's going to end up happening. You will still end up paying for it one way or another, whether just paying for it in full up front. You're going to still be paying for it, because now you're going to go to that person, you're going to go pay that amount, and you're not going to get what you need, and you're going to have to still keep paying over and over and over again. Listen, the average cost for ongoing marital counseling, this is if you go to a therapist or you go through, to a counselor. The average cost for ongoing marital counseling for 12 weeks is about $3,500. Okay. Plus, that's just an average. All I need, Coach T, is 6 weeks. All I need is 6 weeks to get that wife back to a healthier place. All I need is 6 weeks. After the 6 weeks, in that year that wife worked with me or walked with me, she gonna be back. She gonna be where she need to be at. I don't need 12 weeks. All I need is 6 weeks, because in 6 weeks, that wife is gonna be so much better off than she was when I first spoke to her. All right. And so wives have to make a decision. After you do your 6 weeks with Coach T, then I simply walk with you for the, up to a year to maintain what I have taught you in that 6 weeks, that 6 weeks time frame. We just walk through that for the whole year. And what I'm doing there is monitor your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and your physical health. Because when this is all on you, you're going to feel the weight. I just talked about this last week. You're going to feel the weight of it. All right. So on that note, I'm going to share with you 3 things. What should you do when your husband leaves the home? All right. What should you do, wife, when your husband leave the home? Number 1, go get help for yourself. All right. Go get help for yourself. If your husband has left the home, go get help for yourself. Consult with someone about your marital pain and your marital status and get guidance on your next steps. This could be, like I said, a wife coach, counselor, therapist, pastor, however, whoever you decide, to help you, go get help. Go get help. Go get help. All right? Go get help. It is going to cost you more in the long run if you don't get help at the sign of something going wrong. Okay? Number 2. Once you get wisdom about your marital pain and your status, begin to activate the strategies, okay, or the action plan that was given. So whatever action plan that was given, whatever was said, you need to begin to activate those strategies. It don't do you no good. And this is why I don't do well with what they call it, do it yourself, like the do it yourself DIY little courses or whatever. Like, well, you can just purchase my course and you can just walk and do it yourself. That don't work, man. That crap don't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because there's no accountability in that. I can give you a workbook and tell you to read this workbook all day long. But if nobody is standing there walking with you and saying, hey, come on, get yourself together. Come on, did you turn your assignment in? Come on, did you read that article? Come on, what did that scripture say to you? Come on, did you hear from God? If you don't got nobody like standing over you, like helping you with that, you're gonna not want to do it. So I don't do. And it's no shade. It's just my preference. And I guess it was probably the way I was trained and what I went through as a wife. I didn't have that kind of stuff. I had, I did work on my journey. I did work. It wasn't I did work and then I was challenged about the work that I did. I did work and then I was challenged by the work I did. Okay. So once you get the strategy or the action plan, again, depending on who you choose, to guide you, you need to activate those strategies immediately. All right. And then number 3, and this is the biggest part of this. This is the biggest part of this. Invest in your mental health. Invest in your mental health. Because during a marital separation, your mental, your emotional, your physical, and spiritual health will all be challenged. If you, wife, have made a decision to pursue your marriage and your husband has made a decision not to, this all falls on you. Okay, this all falls on you. So it's so very important that you pursue your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. All of these things will be challenged. Talking about your husband over, and I'm going to just emphasize this part. Again, I don't ever want to come on here and give a person a timeline of how to get over stuff. And I always tell my wife this in their sessions. You're going to go through grief as long as you and your husband are going through a separation. You're going to go through grief, wife. I'm just telling you that now. Will you have some good days and bad days? Absolutely. Will you have some days where you like, okay, I was able to shake this thing today? Yeah, you have some days like that. But then you will also have some days where it's like, man, this is not a good day. And this is why you need a coach or somebody walking with you to help you to navigate through those hard days. All right. You're going to go through grief. I'm not here to put a time frame or a time stamp on how long you should be, crying or how long you should be, feeling a certain kind of way. You're going to go through grief as long as you and your husband are going through a separation. You're going to have those steps. But the goal to this is to learn how to bounce back. The goal of this is to learn these strategies that your coach is teaching you. So now instead of you going days, of being depressed and going months of being down, now Your bad day now has turned into just a 24-hour thing. Now your bad day is turned into only an hour thing. Now, okay, I back in the day when my anniversary would come up, I used to like really, really be down. But now that I've been, seeing a coach, or now that I've been working with somebody, now I was able to get myself back up and put myself together and bounce back. All right. That is the goal to this, wife. That is the goal to this. So you have to make sure that you are prioritizing your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, your physical health. Talking about your husband over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is going to keep you in a stuck place. I'm here to tell you. You're going to be in circles. You're going to be stagnant. You're going to get mad all over again. And you're going to stay in that same place you're going to keep staying in that place. And this is why when I say, why sign up for your wife consultation, after your consultation, I would see you up to 2, maybe 3 times after your consultation where we're going to just talk about your husband. After that, I, as your coach, am not helping you. Now I am more I become a downer now for you if I keep on sitting there with you, just letting you talk about your husband over and over again. Now, me just talking about you and talking about your husband and we doing the same thing over and over again, that's not getting you anywhere. You're not getting nowhere on that journey. So as a coach, my job now is to help you to become a better you. As a coach, my job now is to help you to pull yourself up, to pull yourself together, to help you to go forward, to help you to see what else that God is calling you to. That is my job. My job is not to sit there with you month after month, week after week, and keep talking about the same thing over and over again about your husband. Your husband is where your husband is because God is allowing your husband to be there, okay? When God wants your husband to come back home, he'll let your husband come back home. In the meantime, you need to get the necessary help that you need for yourself, all right? No. 3 times and we done. We're not going to keep on talking about that. That's why I said after that, you need to her Buoyancy Boost. Most wives I talk to, at the consultation, I already know she needs to sign up for her Buoyancy Boost because this is where we are now. Like, you need to sign up for her Buoyancy Boost. But some wives say, I can't afford it, or I'm not in a place to do it right now. And okay, that's fine, whatever. We'll go ahead and do this. But after 3 sessions, I can. Me as a coach, that is not even in me to keep doing it, because at that point, you're just wasting your time. And I recognize that you're wasting your time. I recognize that you're not going anywhere. And that has not been effective for neither one of us. That's wasting my time at this point, because now I'm putting all this energy in telling you the same things over and over again, and you haven't moved or changed, and I'm missing out on helping somebody else. No. 3 sessions and it's a wrap, okay? Unless you sign up for her Buoyancy Boost, where you will benefit the most on this journey as far as the curriculum that I offer my wives, okay? And so the next steps, wife, is really to begin working on you, okay? It's really to begin working on you. Listen, consult with someone. Talk about your marital pain. Talk about your marital grief. Let that person give you wisdom. Let that person give you insight. Let that person give you understanding about what you got going on. Then expedite the strategies, do the action plan, do what is required. Then after that, make a decision to invest in yourself. Make a decision to invest in you. If you want to see your marriage come to pass, if you want God to do something in your marriage, stop using the excuses, oh, it's just me and God. No, you got to make a sacrifice. God is all about making sacrifices. God's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you these things. You can get all these things that you desire. But that's something that still is required from you. And so many times wives feel like God is going to just drop their husbands back in their lap, or God is just going to just send that husband back. Like, no, there is something required of you, because God is looking at their heart. How bad do you want this? Do you want it only because you want your husband back, or do you want me? How bad do you really want this? Are you willing to do the things that I'm calling you to? Are you willing to pursue your purpose? Are you willing to go after some of the things that I'm calling you to? Or you just want your husband to come back home? Like, how bad do you really want this? And this is what so many wives are failing and going left, because they don't want to do this. So like wives, I want to encourage you. Sign up today at www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, let me go back up here and see what y'all done said, because y'all know I want to read these things today. I was not. I keep hearing that marital restoration is messy once they have come home. I guess I envision it to be like the movie Fireproof and War Room, but it still don't change my mind. It just depends. I always tell wives to prepare yourself for your husband's arrival. Your husband may not necessarily come home in the best condition. Most wives that I talk to, husbands are not necessarily in the best condition when they come home. I know my situation was not like that. My husband was not in the place. My husband got sick, and that's why he came back home. If it wasn't for him getting sick, he probably wouldn't have came home either. So, that's not the focus of the marital restoration. The focus of marital restoration is when your husband come home, will you be ready for him? When your husband come home, are you spiritually equipped to handle him? Are you mentally stable to handle him? Are you safe? And go to the emotional part. Are you safe enough to handle him? And then physically, can you handle the weight of what's going to come along with whatever he done bought from the outside? All right. So that's the thing that you want to kind of keep in mind. Like Adam and Eve, when they are from the tree, the Holy Spirit dealt with me on yesterday. Yeah. My husband keeps telling me he don't feel that way for me anymore. He has had an affair with my best friend, but won't admit to it. You telling me these are spirits that makes me feel better. My question to you is, why are you conversating with your husband so much? Because these men are double-minded at this time. And sometimes talking to your husband, I know some wives are in positions where they kind of communicate with their spouses, and that's great, that's wonderful if you are cordial enough to do that. But I always tell wives you need to set certain boundaries, because your husband, if he's double-minded and he's still on the outside and he's still being deceived, he can be in a discouragement for you. So I don't know, you might want to just put some boundaries up for that. God and me will help be hip to hip after this. Y'all gonna have to be. Pressure produces diamonds. Absolutely. Press on while being pressed on. Absolutely. Praying and fasting, doing the word, and staying connected to our Father. That's what's needed. We need community. You absolutely need community. You absolutely need community. And this is why I don't discourage the wife groups. But I always say you need more than that. You need more than that. You need a wife group. You need a wife support group. If you have something like that, you do need a wife support group. Coach T, I just don't happen to do groups. Look, I'm being stretched on all ends right now. But having a wife support group is definitely important. I'm more of a one-on-one, because I deal with a person one-on-one, because I feel like God has me speak directly to that person based off of what he wants me to tell that person. So, if you can be connected to a wife group, I will encourage it. All right. Amen. Doing the work with a person, coach, counselor, has truly helped me get through. I'm so grateful. Thanks for confirmation. Absolutely. You need that. There's no way that you can do this. I'm telling you, not in the healthiest way or productive way. You won't do well in this journey. Listen, I did that in therapy to a point where I realized that I was just venting week after week. It wasn't helping. It does not. I wasted a whole year focusing on him and crying about what he did that I forgot. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. About myself and getting the healing that I needed for him. Madman. Yeah, that's why I like I said, sometimes people thinking I'll be coming all kind of like harsh, like, oh God, she don't care about my pain. It's not, I don't care about your pain. I know if you keep on sitting in that, it's like sitting in some poop. You gonna either get up and clean yourself up, or you gonna keep sitting in it. Which one is gonna be? It's like, which one is gonna be? You gotta make a decision. And sometimes I talk to so many wives, they don't have enough mojo about themselves. They don't have enough motivation about themselves. It just, it gets my nerves. It's like, y'all gotta come on and get up and do something different, or you stay in the same place. And maybe that's just me. That might be my oldest syndrome. I was raised, it's 7 of us, and so I was the oldest of 7, so I had to always, make choices and push people. So that's probably what that is to me, because I just don't do well with that. If you sit in poop, are you gonna get up and clean the poop up? Or are you gonna just keep sitting in it? You gotta make a decision. It's not to say that your pain doesn't matter. You need to, people have to understand that, tears, you need to get that out. Those are prayers too, You need to have healthy grief. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to grieve. The Bible tells us to mourn. The Bible tells us he that mourns will be comforted. You need to get that out. But you don't need to sit in that. So many people sit in that, and you just, I feel so sorry, and I'm so sad for those who just, make the same, excuses, month after month, year after year. It's like, oh, I had a person who, reached out to me, in last year, and then they came back, 4, 5, 6 months later, and like now it's like the situation has gotten worse. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? You know, you can have videos, you can do the courses, you need to walk with someone. If I did not have my coach with me, if I did not have I would have, man, anybody doing this foolishness. I've done cussed and said all kind of things to this lady, like, bump this, okay? But the thing about it, the Lord had to give me a coach who was just as bold as me. She was just as body as me. Like, she was not scared of Coach T. Like, and you need somebody like that. Like, it's going to stand up to you. Like, stop this. You need somebody to help you on this journey. You're not going to do well on it. I'm just telling you that right now. Let's see. You know who Bob and Charlene Steinkamp are? They say spouses come home from fear of God. Sometimes everybody's situation is different. And yes, I do know them. I know Rejoice Ministries. I know them. I'm also doing what you said, really trying to be independent. Got to start somewhere, even if it's minimum wage. The babysitter is hard though. The babysitting is hard. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. Sacrifices are real. Sacrifices are real. I had a tanning salon that got shut down over this, but God has a plan. God always has a plan. So true. Listen, wives, the bottom line to this is get the necessary help you need for your journey. If you feel like God has called you to this place and you feel like God is telling you to not end that marriage, but he's telling you to stand in for the salvation of your husband and for the restoration of your marriage and your family, you got to understand why that it's not just because of your marriage. It's not just because of your marriage. God has a bigger plan for you. He has a bigger plan for you. And if you stop at just that, oh, I'm just gonna be just me and God, that little religious talk is not gonna work. Y'all want to do religious talk? Y'all, do you need to go to the church? You need to go to the and I'm not here to down the church or not that. I'm just saying there are certain things that you are limited at the church. I worked in the church as a minister for many years, so I'm not here to down the church. I still work in the church as a minister now. Heck, they done put me back over here in this small group thing. But even with that, you're limited with with what you share. You're limited with what you can really get into. But if you have somebody who has went through the same exact things as you, that's who you want to hook up with. That's who you want to connect with. And so again, I want to just encourage you, wife, to sign up. Sign up today for your wife consultation. You can sign up at www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, y'all, it's April 1st. All right, it's April 1st. It's Saturday. Best day ever after Friday. So y'all make sure that y'all are prioritizing yourselves. Make sure that you're doing something that you enjoy doing. I absolutely love April. Like I told y'all earlier, it's my birthday month. So I'm like all ready for it. I'm all ready for it. But make sure, guys, that you are prioritizing yourself. Make sure that you're self-caring for yourself. Do something that you enjoy doing. All right. Do something that you enjoy doing. And I will see y'all on the other end. All right. Blessings.